Cardi B didn't just spill a little tea, sis. She poured out the entire pot in her latest tell-all moment. She opened up about how she used to reach out to other female rappers, sliding into their DMs to give them encouragement, to uplift them, and to remind them to keep going whenever the industry tried to break them down. Cardi says she was genuinely rooting for them, trying to build them up when everyone else was tearing them apart. But instead of loyalty, what did she get? Betrayal. According to her, some of those very same women she supported turned around and started creeping with her husband, Offset. And that's where things get explosive. Because suddenly, City's name comes crashing into the conversation. The internet never forgot the whispers that linked her to Offset back in 2021, right after her breakup with Quavo, a breakup that had already set the blogs on fire. Now, Cardi didn't directly call out any names in this new interview, but the timing, the history, and the memory of the streets all seemed to point in one direction, that C could be one of the very ungrateful sisters Cardi was talking about. And that's where the cut goes deep. Cardi thought she was creating a sisterhood in rap. She knows how brutal it can be for women in hip-hop, with so many people just waiting for you to fail. That's why she took the time to message others, saying, "Yo, I see you. I got you. Keep going." And remember, she's one of the top women in the game. For her to step down and give that kind of encouragement to the newer wave, that's no small thing, but instead of love, she got knives in her back. And the betrayal didn't just sting her as an artist. It cut her as a wife. Because this wasn't some random drama, like it was Offset. The same man who has already been exposed for cheating. The same man she took back after very public scandals. The father of her children. So when Cardi says these women used Offset as a way to hurt her, she's framing it as more than infidelity. To her, it was strategy. Offset wasn't the prize, he was the pawn in their game. And that's why this revelation feels so explosive. This isn't just another story about a rapper husband cheating. We've seen that plenty of times before. What makes it different is that Cardi is pointing at women she trusted, women she tried to uplift, and saying they turned around and used her marriage as a weapon against her. That betrayal cuts on every level, personal, professional, and public. All tangled together in one messy knot. Now, let's break down how this messy drama is being spun, because everyone's got their own version of the truth. On Cardi's side, she's trying to flip her pain into wisdom. In her interview, she made it crystal clear, "I used to help. I used to reach out, but no more. Lesson learned." She's presenting herself as the wounded big sister who gave love and support, but got nothing back except betrayal. And for her, this isn't just about cheating, it's about trust. She's telling her fans, "I tried to uplift these girls, and look how they repaid me." That framing makes her look vulnerable, even relatable, like the girl who just wanted to build a real sisterhood in rap, but ended up getting clowned for it. On C's side, the spin is silence. She hasn't hopped on IG Live to deny it, hasn't clapped back on Twitter, hasn't dropped a diss track, nothing. And that silence is a strategy in itself. For her fans, it's proof she's above the drama, too focused to entertain the mess. But for Cardi's fans, that silence is deafening. They read it as guilt. They're saying, if it wasn't true, wouldn't she have said something by now? Sometimes not talking is its own kind of statement. And then we have Offset. Poor guy looks like a pawn in everyone's version of the story. He hasn't said a word about this flare-up either, but the way the public spins him is predictable. Offset just being Offset. The media paints him as the reckless husband who can't keep it zipped. Cardi frames him as a weapon used against her. And with C's silence, he doesn't come across as a prize at all. Just the middleman in a bigger game. Meanwhile, the real spin doctors? The fans. Team Cardi is riding hard for her, claiming she gave her heart to the culture only to be stabbed in the back by fake friends. They're dragging C's name back into trending topics, reviving old rumors and digging up receipts. On the flip side, Team C is clapping back, saying Cardi always paints herself as the victim when she knows the real common denominator here is Offset, and that Offset acts like a child who never learns. And of course, the memes are having a field day. Offset is being photoshopped into chessboards as a fallen pawn, with captions like, "Not the pawn again." The blogs don't care who's right or wrong either. They're spinning it for clicks because drama sells. So now the spins are locked in. Cardi as the betrayed, Psy as the silent, Offset as the pawn, and the fans as the jury. The only problem? Nobody's telling the whole truth. Because everybody's got something to protect. See, the reason this latest drama hits so hard is because it doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's history here, messy history, and the receipts stretch way back. Let's start with Offset. This is far from his first time in the cheating spotlight. He's been in the blogs more times than fans can even count. Back in 2018, there was the Summer Bunny scandal. Remember her tearful apology for messing around with a married man? Then came the drama with Jade, Tekashi 6ix9ine's girlfriend, when Cardi herself was accused of sending people to a strip club after finding out Offset had been sliding into Jade's DMs. Add in the random leaked screenshots and suspicious DMs that always seem to pop up with his name attached, and the picture is clear. Offset has a long track record of wandering eyes. So when Cardi hints that another female rapper might have been creeping with him, the streets don't doubt it for a second. Now enter C. Her name first got tied to Offset back in 2021, right after her messy split from Quavo. Their breakup was already headline-worthy. Icy tweets, elevator footage, public shade, the whole package. But when whispers started that she had hooked up with Offset behind the scenes, the internet nearly exploded. Fans of the Migos called her out, saying she broke family ties by crossing into Quavo's circle. She denied it at the time, but those whispers never really disappeared. And then there's the Cardi C dynamic. On the surface, everything looked civil, smiles at events, polite mentions in interviews, but insiders have long said the so-called friendship was more Instagram than reality. Cardi kept her distance. Why? Because she didn't fully trust her. Whether it was label politics, competition, or just clashing energies, the vibe was never as sisterly as it appeared. So when you piece it all together, Cardi's new revelation feels like the final puzzle piece sliding into place. Offset's history proves he could have done it. C's past rumors already had her name in the mix, and Cardi's cool but distant attitude toward her suddenly makes sense. The narrative just fits too perfectly. And let's be real, this wouldn't be the first time women in hip-hop got tangled in messy triangles. From Nicki and Remy to Megan and Kelsey, rap sisterhood has always been fragile. Add men into the equation, especially men with Offset's reputation, and the cracks always show. So when Cardi says she extended a hand to help female rappers, only to discover one of them sliding into her marriage, the streets didn't just gasp. They nodded and said, "Yeah, that tracks." Now, let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't the first time we've watched a messy love triangle unfold under the spotlight. Cardi versus C versus Offset fits right into a long-running Hollywood tradition of betrayal. Think back to Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and the infamous Becky with the good hair. When Beyoncé dropped Lemonade, the world shook. Here was the most powerful woman in music, admitting her husband had betrayed her. She never said the other woman's name, but a single lyric sparked a global witch hunt. Sound familiar? Cardi never pointed fingers directly, but she didn't have to. The internet did the math, and suddenly Psy's silence became louder than any denial. Or rewind to Khloe Kardashian, Jordan Woods, and Tristan Thompson. Jordan was practically family. She got close to Khloe's man, and when the truth spilled, the internet turned it into a war zone. One woman was cast as the betrayed, the other as the snake and the man. Just the reckless pawn in between. That same formula is at play here. Even in rap, we've seen the pattern. Take Nicki Minaj and Remy Ma. Their feud wasn't over a man, but the way the industry fueled their rivalry followed the same blueprint. Pit women against each other, make power the prize, and blur the line between personal and professional. That's exactly how Cardi is framing this. Offset was never the prize. He was never the endgame. In her eyes, he was just the chess piece C allegedly used to embarrass her. To Cardi, this isn't just about infidelity. It's about strategy. About another woman trying to knock her crown sideways by using her marriage as the weapon. But here's the twist. What happens if we flip that framing on its head? Silence might feel classy for now, but in the long run, it risks boxing C in, remembered more for scandal than for her music. For Offset, the tragedy is almost predictable. To the public, he's no longer the smooth-talking Migos star or Cardi's devoted husband. He's become the pawn, a name that pops up every time the words betrayal, cheating, or scandal trend. Cardi herself framed him that way. Not the mastermind, not the ultimate prize, but just the piece others move around to hurt her. And if that's how his own wife defines him, history won't be any kinder. But then comes the bigger picture. what all of this says about sisterhood in rap. For years, fans begged for women in hip-hop to stand together instead of tear each other down. Cardi tried to live that unity, but this controversy shows how fragile it really is. If one DM can unravel the whole thing, then maybe true sisterhood was always just a dream. And the irony? Cardi set out to protect women in her lane, to lift them up against an industry built on tearing them apart. But in her version of the story, that very kindness was flipped into a weapon against her. She stepped into the role of big sister, only to learn that in this game, everyone is a rival until proven otherwise. So in the end, the legacies look like this. Cardi walks away tougher, scarred but louder. Sai walks away shadowed, her silence shaping her image more than her words. Offset walks away reduced, just another pawn on the board. And the fans? They're left with a reminder, in hip-hop, betrayal isn't an exception. It's the rule.